Krishna, welcome to our Sunday Bhagavatam class. It is, in fact, December 15th, 2019. I am in Goleta, California, which is right next to Santa Barbara. I am in the apartment of my disciples Sarvatma and Divyananda, who are in Los Angeles, but I'm staying here. And so I'm going to give the class now. We are resuming our regular Sunday classes going through the Bhagavatam in order. And so today we do 141, first canto, chapter 4, text 1. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So Vyasuvacha Iti Bruvanam Sangstuya Muninang Dirghasatrinang Vriddhak Kulapati Sutam Bhaurachak Saunaka Bravit. So Prabhupada translates, Vyasadeva said, on hearing Sukadeva Gosvami speak, thus Saunaka Muni was the elderly, learned leader of all the rishis engaged in that prolonged sacrificial ceremony, congratulated Sukadeva Gosvami by addressing him as follows. So we're at Naimisharanya. The main speaker is Sutta, Sri Sutta, and he is speaking to the sages there. And the senior sage, spiritual leader of the sages, is Saunaka. So, iti bruvanam sangstuya muninam dirgha satrinam vriddhak. So Kulapati, Kula means a community, just like Guru Kula, the guru's community. So Kulapati, the leader of the community, Saunaka, who is described here as Bhauracha, the first word of the fourth line, if you have the verse in front of you. Richa is just the plural of the same word as in Rig Veda. So Rig means a verse, a sacred verse from Shastra, a mantra or verse from Shastra. And so Saunaka is here, actually it's not plural, but Saunaka is described here as Bahuricha, which means a person who knew many verses. Bahu means many, and Richa means, as in Rig Veda, a sacred verse. So Saunaka knew many verses. He was learned. And he was Vriddha. Vriddha means, here it means elderly. Elderly. I won't go into all the other meanings. So Vriddha Kulapati, so he's a community leader. He's the senior person. Vriddha, he's senior. And he knows the Shastra very well. He knows all the Vedic hymns and verses. And so he is senior Muninang Dirgha Satrinang, among the sages, among the munis who are engaged in a Dirgha Satra, a long, sustained sacrificial performance. And the sacrifice, as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, better than sacrificing mere material things, Shayan Dravyamayat Yagya Jnana Yaga, is sacrifice which consists of knowledge. And so here we have a Jnana Yagya, or Satra. Sat in Sanskrit means to sit, obviously related to the English word seat, sit, sat. Satrinam. And so here, a Satri, they are sitting, Dirgha Satrinam, they are sitting for a long sacred event of hearing the Bhagavatam. And so to Sutta, who was speaking, Saunaka sung Stuya, having highly praised him. Sutta, the elderly, the senior community leader, the senior among these sages, he said to Sutta, Saunaka, who knew so many verses. So that's how we begin. One interesting thing is that this verse, the speaker of this verse is Vyasa. So one of my disciples just asked me recently, Vyasa is a speaker of the Bhagavatam, and yet we have much later speakers such as Saunaka and Sutta. And yet here we have Vyasa, who is describing, narrating what Sutta and Saunaka said, even though they are speaking a few generations after Vyasa. So Vyasa was still there. So now we'll go to the next verse, which is Saunaka Uvacha. So this is what Saunaka said. Saunaka, by the way, is a brilliant speaker. If you look at the verses spoken by Saunaka in the Bhagavatam, he's brilliant. So Sutta Mahabhaga Vadano Vadatang Vara Katang Bhagavating Punyang Janaha Bhagavan Shuka. So Saunaka said, Sutta. So in our Sanskrit literature, often when they're speaking ecstatically, speakers will repeat the same words. So he says Sutta, which express enthusiasm, ecstasy. And to give another example of this, we have to look no further than the end of the Bhagavad Gita, where many words are repeated. For example, at the end of the Gita, this is how it ends. Sanjaya says at 1874, first he says, Ityang Vasudevasya Partasya Cha Mahatmana Sangvadam Imang Ashosham. I've heard this dialogue, this conversation of the great soul Partha and Vasudev, and this conversation, this is Adbhutam, it is amazing. Roma Harshanam, makes my hair stand on end. And he says, Vyasa Prasada Chutavan, by the mercy of Vyasa Chutavan, I've heard Eta Guyam, Ahang Param, this supreme confidential knowledge, Yogam, of spiritual practice, Yogeshwara Krishna, from the Lord of Yoga, Krishna, Sakshat Katiyatak Swayam. So here we begin the repetitions at the end of the Gita. The Gita, Bhagavad Gita ends ecstatically with all these ecstatic repetitions. So he said, I heard this supreme confidential knowledge of yoga, spiritual life, from the Yogeshwara Krishna, Sakshat Katiyak Swayam, which means he was speaking personally, himself in person. So Sakshat Swayam, he's repeating himself here. And then he says, Rajan Sangsmrityam, Sangvadavi Mamadabhutang, Keshavarjuniyo Punyang Hrishyami Cha Muhurmuhu. So all these repetitions, ecstatic repetitions. O king, remembering this amazing conversation between Keshav and Arjuna, this holy dialogue. I am rejoicing again and again. So you have these repetitions. Tacha Sangsmritya. Again, he says, remembering it. Remembering. Rupa Matya Bhutam Hare. This amazingly, this just exceedingly wonderful form of the Lord, Hari. Vismayo me Mahan Rajan. My astonishment is great, O king. Hrishyamicha muhu punak punaha. And I rejoice again and again. So this is ecstatic repetition. And we have the same here in verse 2 of the 4th chapter of Canto 1, where Saunaka says, Sutta, Mahabhaga, a greatly fortunate one, Vadano Vadatang Vara, speak to us, for you are the best of speakers. Literally, speak to us. You are the best of speakers. Katang Bhagavating Punyang, this holy katha, this holy narration of the Lord. Bhagavata means, of course, of the Lord, of Bhagavan. Jadaha Bhagavan Shuka, which Lord Shuka spoke. So that's the second verse. So this is a very ecstatic moment here. Saunaka is obviously in ecstasy. And so now he has some practical questions. Kasmin yuge prabhriteyam. In what yuga did this Bhagavatam begin? When did this Bhagavatam first begin? Staneva, or where? Where did it happen? In what place? Kena hetuna, for what reason? Kutak sanchodita Krishna kritavan sanghitang muni. So here Krishna refers to Vyas. It's also a name of Vyas. So why or how was Vyasa, the sage, Vyasa, Krishna Muni, why was he inspired so that he composed this anthology? Sanghita, like Brahma Sanghita. Here the Bhagavatam is called Sanghita. Hita means placed and or arranged, and Sang means together. So Sanghita, things that are placed together. That's a Sanghita or an anthology. Or simply a collection of beautiful verses. So, the next verse, speaking about Vyasa now, Tasya Putro Mahayogi, his son, Vyasa's son, was a great yogi, a great spiritualist. Samadring, equal vision, Nirvikalpakaha. And he was a monist. He didn't make any distinctions. Ekantamatir, his mind was fixed on one point. He had complete concentration. Unidro, he was beyond lethargy. He didn't sleep a lot. Gudha, and he was disguised, mudaiva, like a fool, like a madman, disguised like an ordinary foolish person. Iyate, thus he appeared. So, of course, Shuka will actually begin speaking at the beginning of the next canto, but here he's being introduced. And now here's a beautiful poetic verse glorifying Shuka. Drishtva nuyantam rishimatmajamapyanagdam devyo hriya paridadur nasutasya chitram tadviksha prachati muno jagadustavasti stri pungbida natusutasya vivikta drishte. So, drishtva, having seen, anuyantam rishim atmajamapyanagnam. So, seeing the sage, Rishi, talking about Shuka here, actually, no, here the Rishi means Vyasa. So, having seen Vyasa, the sage, anuyantam means literally going after. Seeing the sage Vyasa going after Atmajam, his son, which means born from himself, Atmajam. So the sage, or seeing the sage going after his son, Apiyanagnam, even though the sage Vyasa was not naked. Actually, the English word naked is related to the Sanskrit word nagna, naked. So Vyasa was anagnam, and the idea here is that Shuka wasn't actually naked. He had no clothes on. He was just he was completely in the spiritual world. He just was not at all thinking about this world. So Shuka is naked, and he left, as we know, he left home very soon after he was born. And the sage Vyasa went after him, after his son. And so someone is seeing that. Someone is seeing this Vyasa running after his son. The son is naked, Vyasa is not, he's dressed. So who is seeing this? Devyo, goddesses. Or Prabhupada translates it beautiful damsels. Devyo can simply mean, it's a plural of Devi. Devya or Devyo is just the plural of Devi, and it means sort of like godly women. Devyo Hriya, out of shyness, Paridhadur, They covered themselves because apparently they were bathing. So paridadur, they dressed quickly. Nasutasya, but they did not cover themselves when the sun was going by. So Shuka went by and the women are bathing and no problem because they can see that he's not really here. He's really somewhere else. And Nasutasya, but when they see Vyasa, then they cover themselves. So Chitram, this was surprising. This was surprising. So Tadviksha, seeing that, Vyasa saw that the ladies were not shy about bathing in front of the sun as he went by, but when the father comes after him, then suddenly the women become shy and cover themselves. So seeing that, Pritchati Munau, when the sage asked them, like, what's going on here? Or Pritchati, so he asked, why did you behave like this? So Munau Jagadu, so the ladies answered him, Tavasti Sri Pumbida, because you make a distinction between female and male. He's a householder. Vyasa is married. And so the ladies say, you make a distinction between male and female, natu sutasya, but not your son. Your son doesn't make a distinction between female and male bodies. Vivikta drishte, because his consciousness, his vision is apart from this world. Just to make sure someone's... because someone is... because Shuka, his vision, his seeing, Vivikta drishte, is somewhere else. It's just he's in the spiritual world. He's not seeing it. So this is that famous verse, Drishtwanu yantam rishimatma jamapyanagnam devyo riya paridadur nasutasya chitram tadviksha pritchati muno jagadus tavasti stripung bidha natu sutasya vivikta drishte. So beautiful verse. And then now we're going back to Saunaka, who's again speaking to Sutta. Saunaka actually spoke those verses also, but now having described Shuka and glorified Shuka, now he's asking more questions to Saunaka's asking more questions to Sutta. Katam alakshitat podai, about Shuka, still talking about Shuka. How was he recognized by the citizens, or how was he perceived by the citizens? Katam alakshitat podai samprapta kurujangalam, when he reached the lands of the Kuru emperors. When he reached the Kuru lands, how was he seen? How was he recognized, actually? In other words, did they really know who he was? Katam alakshita, the citizens. Pura means city and Pura means citizen. Katam alakshita Purai samprapta kurujangalan unmatta mukha jadavat, because he seemed to be mad and dumb. He wasn't speaking, and of course we used to say retarded. Just someone who was mentally impaired, who was deaf, didn't really, or mute, didn't really hear what people were saying to him, and mad, just sort of crazy, like a crazy person. Vicharan, wandering about Gajasahwaye in the Kuru country. So how did the citizens react to him? Who did they think he was? Katamva, and also Katamva Pandave Yasya Raja Sher Muni Nasaha Sangvadak Samabhutata Jatay Shah Satvati Shuti. Very interesting verse here, important verse. Saunaka asks also how did that Sangvada conversation come about? Vada means speaking, and Sang means together, like Sankirtan. So when people speak together, in other words, a conversation, and Con in Latin or Spanish means together, so the con in C-O-N in conversation is Sanskrit S-A-M, same idea. It's conversing, like versing, speaking, but con, C-O-N, or con in Spanish, together. So exact same thing in Sanskrit, samvada. So how did this conversation come about? How did this conversation arise? This conversation of Pandaveya. Parikshit, the Rajashir, the saintly king, who was a descendant of the Pandavas and of Pandu, his conversation with the sage Shuka. How did this arise? How did this come about? Yatra, and as a result of that conversation, Isha Satvati Shruti, we now have this Vaishnava Shruti. Shruti, of course, means the Vedas, what you hear from a divine source. So here, Saunaka calls, although we have this distinction, Shruti, Smriti, but here Saunaka calls the Bhagavatam Shruti. In other words, it's on the highest level of Vedic authority. We sometimes hear that the highest authority is Shruti, and then there's Smriti, the literatures that remember and try to explain Shruti. But here, the Bhagavatam is in its own category. And so the Bhagavatam is in the highest category of spiritual authority. Therefore, it's called Shruti here. And Satvati Shruti means a Vaishnava Shruti. So, Saunaka is asking, how did the citizens of the Kuru realm, how did they respond to Shuka when he was wandering about like a madman, naked? What did he look like to them? What did they think? Did they recognize him? And then how did he speak to Parikshit? And how did this conversation come about, which became the Bhagavatam? Or the Bhagavatam already existed, but it by Shuka and Parikshit speaking together, you get this supreme Shastra, which we're reading right now. So maybe we'll do just a couple more verses. So now again, still talking about Shuka. Sa go dohana matrami, just for the cow milking. Go is cow, and dohana means milking. So just for the cow milking, indeed, he griheshu grihamedinang avekshate, he stayed in the homes of the grihamedis. In other words, householders who were absorbed in domestic affairs, not really absorbed in God. So, sa go dohana matrangi, just for the cow milking, he would stay, griheshu, in the homes, grihamedinang, of the grihamedis, avekshate, he stayed, Mahabhagas, this exalted personality, tirti kurvang stanashramam, and he turned the homes, the ashrams, he turned the homes of the grihastas or grihamedis into holy places. So out of his kindness, he would stay in the grihasta's home just long enough as long as it took to milk a cow, so that they could, that was the sustenance, just take a little milk. So he would stay in their homes, and that great soul, because he was transforming their homes into holy places by his presence. So Abhimanyu Sutang Suta Prahur Bhagavatotamam. So Prahur, they declare, they say, and this is a typical usage in the Bhagavatam. Also in the Gita, Krishna does this. Ahur, they say, or Prahur, they declare. And so who are they? Who is saying this? People that know what they're talking about. That's the idea. It's just like, for example, someone could say, they say it gets pretty hot here in the summer. So who are they? They say it gets pretty hot here. People that know what they're talking about. So you do the same thing in Sanskrit. So prahur, they say, or they declare that Abhimanyu Sutam, that Abhimanyu's son, who is Parikshit, Bhagavatotamam, is a pure devotee, is on the highest level of devotion to the Lord. Tasya janma mahascharyam, his birth is a great wonder. Tasya janma mahascharyam, his birth is a great wonder. Karmanicha, and his activities, granihina. So tell us, explain that to us. Tell us about them. Karmanicha granihina. Abhimanyu sutang suta, Saunaka addressing Suta. Abhimanyu sutang suta prahur bhagavatotamam tasya janma mahascharyam karmanicha granihina. So I'm going to look at the Facebook page, see if anyone has any questions. Saunaka Muni congratulated Sukadeva Gosvami. So we learn etiquette because we were not brought up with the etiquette in the Bhagavatam. Or how do we learn the proper etiquettes? We just, by hearing the Bhagavatam, of course. And actually, I mean, I can't say I didn't learn anything of this etiquette. I grew up in a different religion. I mean, not a different religion, because Krishna consciousness is not just a religion, it's a science. But when I was growing up, we went to the synagogue, and people had great respect for the rabbi, and they would thank him. I mean, in churches and, all over the world. Let's say if there's a preacher, minister, priest who gives a very good talk, then afterwards, people come forward, the congregation, and they'll thank the preacher or the minister and tell him or her how much they appreciated the talk. So I think this is actually universal etiquette, really. If you're doing Sankirtan, what about devotees need help? Yeah, help devotees and do Sankirtan. So, I guess that's it for now. So thank you all very much for listening, and hopefully we will all still be around next Sunday, and we can have another Bhagavatam class. Jai Prabhupada, Hare Krishna.